Recording in progress.
Hi everyone, welcome back. If you have been watching the last two sessions, we are on session 3. I'm Robin Withrow-Wong, and I have a guest with me today. I have Teresa Escalante. Welcome, Teresa.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you very
glad to
much.
have you. And today's topic, we're talking about maintaining a healthy weight, all right, and weight loss. And so Teresa's with us because she has done exactly that. And so I thought it would be really great to have a guest on so that you could actually, see what's possible, right? It's really hard to sometimes model and know what's possible if you don't have an example. So we have an example. So Teresa's here. We're so glad you're here. Okay, so today's topic, and let me go to my slides a little bit. Like I said, we're talking about healthy weight and maintaining a healthy weight with plant-based nutrition, all right? And the beauty of this is that you don't actually have to diet, all right? I know people go, oh, it's a plant-based diet. No, it's actually a lifestyle, okay? It's actually a lifestyle. So what we're going to cover is we're going to talk a little bit with Teresa about a history of dieting. We live in a very, very diet-centric culture, right? I mean, if you're a woman, you've probably been on a diet. Maybe not so much with the guys, more so with women. And then we're going to talk about, Teresa's diabetes diagnosis. We covered diabetes in depth last week, but we're going to talk a little bit about that as well, because it plays into her motivation to get healthy, which ended up bringing on this weight loss. And then we're going to talk about the lifestyle changes she made to make that happen, all right? And to successfully maintain the weight loss, and she was never hungry and she never felt deprived. Yay, right? Doesn't that sound awesome? Okay, so that's kind of what we're talking about to start with. So let's jump in. Weight loss is difficult, okay? Would you agree, Teresa?
Yes, it is. Quite hard.
Yeah, if any of you have tried to lose weight, you know it's difficult. Dieting is success or failure, okay? And really the success comes with losing the pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You feel so much happier and more motivated to keep going.
Yeah, but then when does it feel like you're failing?
If I go off.
Okay.
And I eat something I know that's just not good for me at all or toxic.
Okay. And I hear women all the time tell me that the idea of that number on the scale, right? And they tie so much of their self-worth into that, So let's start with, I guess, really your history with dieting. You used to, at one point you were slim, active, all those things, and you said something earlier. All the good stuff happens before we get on. You said something to me before we started about how it was just 5 pounds a year.
And I was early 40s, and I'd had 2 children. A little later in life, 38 and 41, I had 2 babies.
Yeah.
And so after 41, I put on about 5 pounds a year. And at the end of 10 years, I was 50 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
And it's pretty shocking because you get used to having 10 pounds and then 20 and 25. You get used to the weight.
Oh, okay.
Because it came on so slow.
And you hadn't really changed what you were doing necessarily, right? What you were eating or...
I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 38, when I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what the doctor told me to do. Watch what you eat.
That was it?
That was it. Nothing else. I really expected them to hand me a booklet or something when I left the doctor's office. But nothing. And I asked for one, and they didn't have one.
Yeah, and this is really common, I think. A lot of the information I hear from people is that the doctors tell you, eat healthy, whatever that is, eat healthy, exercise, okay, lose weight. And then if you have diabetes or heart disease, they give you a prescription, right?
Right.
And so what you're saying, they basically said, watch what you eat. And you're like, that is no guideline at all.
When I got out to the parking lot and into the car, I was sitting in the car and I remember thinking, watch what?
Yeah.
And that there was nothing there for me to go to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I went out and bought some books.
Okay, dieting books?
Dieting books with pertaining to diabetes.
Okay.
And I probably bought a book a year for about 20 years.
As the weight kind of kept going
Because after I
up.
got on plant-based, I took all those books and chucked them.
Threw away. Yeah.
Got rid of them.
So really, you said it was 20 years that 20 years that you tried to manage your weight. And I know some of the diets, and maybe my viewers are familiar with this, the blood type diet, the Mediterranean diet, the Atkins diet. What else? Am I missing some?
Oh, there's Weight Watchers.
Weight Watchers. Yeah.
Weight Watchers. I followed it exactly, but I never lost a pound, and I never cheated for probably about 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I wasn't successful on Weight Watchers.
Weren't successful. Okay. All right. So that eventually wears you down, though.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Of this trying all these things and then not seeing the success you want.
And I liked cookies and ice cream and cake and candy, and then as you're feeling miserable, 11 o'clock at night, you're getting yourself a bowl of ice cream.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just not helping at all. And then a little more weight comes on.
Yeah. Well, and I think what happens too with a lot of people is they are good all day, right? And they don't eat enough. They're trying to keep their calories low. So they're eating less and less, and then evening comes, and they haven't really fueled their body well. So their body's like, hey, I'm hungry. And so you reach for those foods because now you're upset because you're hungry and you have cravings, right?
And as you're eating them, you're hating yourself.
Yeah.
You know. So,
yeah. I mean, and you're mad at yourself. And it's kind of this cycle, isn't it? Of, and then the next day you're like, I'm going to start over, and it kind of happens again. Or it might happen a few days later.
Or it just happens every day.
Happens every day, yeah.
Every day with it.
Yeah. So, in talking with you, we've talked about how restriction doesn't work long term. No. Yeah. I mean, you feel deprived.
You'll have a lot of success eating the foods that you really like. Just make sure they're plant-based.
Yeah.
So simple.
Yeah. But interestingly enough, I work with a lot of women, and even with the plant-based foods, yes, they can eat those, but it's not. They are able to eat some of the things they like to, that they think that they miss. So, for example, we were talking about this around the holidays, right? You could eat a few things and still, but then you saw your weight go up a little bit.
Right away.
Yeah.
I had the little chips and the little dips and, and the little candies and cookies. And I could just feel a headache coming on, but I ate a few more anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but then what the thing is, but now you know what you need to do to get back on track. Right.
And I feel pretty happy with myself because I'm down to my last 16, 17 pounds maybe, and I've lost altogether 47 pounds. 47 pounds. And it's a little bit of being a denial and kind of a little bit of a baby, but when the scale said 199.7, I didn't get back on the scale again because I couldn't bear seeing the number 200.
Really?
I just pushed the scale away, and I exercised and did some weight loss and everything. And when I finally did get back on the scale, this is before plant-based, I had managed to get about 7 pounds off. Okay. So then, you're trying to work down. So yeah, that was pretty awful day.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I mean, it's pretty devastating because you're just like, how did I get here?
Right. Yeah. I'm only 5'2", and my normal weight is about 106 to 110. Yeah. So that's 90 plus pounds. That's a teenager. Yeah. Well,
but you think about it. I mean, there's a real difference between ideal body weights and where your body feels good. So you know where your body feels good, right?
Oh, yeah.
And your
yeah.
body knows where it feels good. And you knew it wasn't 199,
No.
right? And now you're finding and what you've told me before is that when you shifted your diet to eat, your lifestyle to eating plant-based, that your body sort of naturally found the weight it felt good at.
I was just so taken back after 20 years of trying to lose weight. And every day I got on the scale and down a pound, down another pound, maybe it'd stay the same, then it dropped 3 pounds. And it came off and my blood sugar leveled out so quickly.
Yeah.
And I was just astonished at that.
Yeah. Well, and you were eating more.
Oh, yeah. I ate as much as I wanted to, and sometimes I'd go in there and maybe I wasn't hungry and I'd get a little more, but it was all, I knew that everything I ate had nutrients in it.
Yeah.
Every cell in my body was getting beautiful nutrients going through it, whether it's oranges or asparagus or quinoa or pasta, or, tomato sauce and avocados and all those things just full of nutrients. And that's what I thought on. I'm going to only eat food that has nutrients.
Yeah.
And that's that. I mean, if you want to get well, you got to help the cells.
Right. No.
You
You have to really fuel your body well. It's like putting good gas in a gas
yeah,
tank, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly how I thought on it. And I said, I'm not going to go on to medication if I can do it through full nutrition, through what I eat. And, our body is just a little vessel for all the chemicals we put in.
Yeah.
And that's nutrients and that's food.
Yeah. So what was the final, what really prompted you to make a lifestyle change? Because, I mean, for someone sitting out there listening, you might be thinking, that's great, but I don't think I could do it. Okay, I don't think I could do it. And I think, I'm hoping by hearing Teresa's story that you can actually go, hey, she seems pretty much like a normal person, not superhero. If she could do it, I could probably do it. But yet this plant-based kind of scares me off. So, because you had tried a lot of diets.
Oh, yeah.
And so plant-based nutrition, what rang true for you with that? Why did you try that?
First off, I really like plant food. I'm not a big lover of animal meat.
Mm-hmm.
Never was, even when I was a little kid. You eat what your parents give you. But I always tried to eat less of the animal because I didn't like the taste of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would take all the potatoes and the peas and the carrots and the fruit salad and all that, and I'd put the little gravy on the potatoes and stuff and take just the smallest little piece of chicken that I had to take.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've always liked plant food, so that was pretty good for me. But the day that changed for me is that for about a week, my blood sugar was hitting the high 280s, and then I just ate terrible for about 3 days. And when I hit 347 BGL, that was the day totally changed my life. Okay. Because I'm going to have a stroke, I'm going to have an aneurysm, and I was 67 years old 2 years ago. So I just had to, get with it. The time was running out.
Yeah.
So
what did you do?
I called you.
It just so happens that we know each other, right? And
well, I text you.
Yeah, you texted me. Yeah, and you jumped on board.
Well, Robin sent me. I asked her. I said, "Tell me, give me a couple of cookbooks that you recommend I'll start. Tell me how you think I should go about it. I'll follow those directions." And so that's exactly what I did.
Yeah. Yeah, but you were frightened enough and ready enough to do it.
And we've all seen people who have had strokes and heart trouble, and they never quite ever recover.
Yeah, and you just wanted to stop
I knew I was this close
to
that happening to me.
Yeah, and what I know of your journey is you really never looked back. You basically took it on. It's been 2 years?
2 years and about 5 months.
Okay. And your weight loss came off in
4 months.
4 months.
And I have gone back and forth a little bit, and I've lost now probably about another 4 or 5 kind of pounds on that, kind of watching it. Mm-hmm. But I stabled out pretty fast. Yeah. But then I wanted to lose some more and get kind of get back to my natural size.
Yeah.
We all have a
Yeah.
natural size in there.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to do that and to watch the health.
Yeah.
And so I always say, you don't have to start on Monday. You don't have to, you don't have to, go to the store and get special stuff. Just start with your next meal.
Right.
That might be 20 minutes from now. Have a salad, have a nice big baked potato, make up some gravy and stuff. There's so many delicious things to put on it.
Yeah, I think you told me once the hardest thing about plant-based nutrition is deciding what to eat next.
There's so many choices. What do I cook? I can cook 10 different things, all these stuff.
Yeah.
So I would go and buy all this food and I'd have it in the refrigerator. There's just so much to eat, So yeah. I went from not really having a lot of choices to just so much. I just, should I have lasagna? Should I have quinoa? And I just cooked all kinds of vegetables and fruits and just all that.
Yeah, and that's what I think happens for a lot of people is actually their food choices really expand because we are such creatures of habit and we so often eat the same things over and over and over again and yet when you start exploring more, opening those cookbooks a little bit, but you can still eat out.
Oh yeah, I kind of chuckled. There's a few restaurants I really tried. I completely stayed off of oil and fat. Everything oil and fat the first 4 months. Not an avocado, no tofu. I didn't eat any plant butter. Just no plant mayonnaise. None of those things. I didn't eat any of it. But I went into one restaurant one time and I'm looking through their menu. There was only out of probably 75 different combinations of things. There's one thing I could eat.
One. Yeah.
And I had to ask the man, I said, that I wanted to eat.
Yeah.
I didn't want to eat all the other stuff because I was doing so good. And I said, could I have the salad without the dressing? Because they didn't give you a choice. He said, it's pre-mixed. So I said, okay, bring it. I ate a little bit of it. I'm okay on that. I'm not against eating meat. If there's a little something in someone's dinner or something, I'll go ahead and eat it. I'm not political on it. And I just try to eat as close to it as I can.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a really good point that I think so many people are frightened about plant-based nutrition for a few reasons. It's like, oh, I love meat. Oh, I love cheese. Oh, I love, and it doesn't mean you can never, ever, ever have those things again. But look at how much you're eating them. Can you reduce the amount?
I'll tell you what, one thing that's pretty amazing when you stay on plant-based, some of that other stuff doesn't taste very good like it used to. And like cheese, it's like, oh, this stuff smells like old socks, out of a gym bag.
Yeah.
It's very moldy smelling. I could really smell that. But there's some beautiful recipes for cheese sauce.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is so delicious. And you could add all kinds of spices and like red peppers, and you can just doll it up.
It actually has more flavor than real cheese.
Oh, more flavor, yeah.
And it's good for you or better for you. I think that's true. I think this idea that we have to eat certain foods to make it be a meal, you have to kind of shift your paradigm that, all right, no, we are just trained that way. I mean, we are taught to eat the standard American diet, right? But when you're eating this other way, you're eating more legumes and whole grains and fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds. You have so many more combinations to put together besides just having meat, red meat, chicken, fish.
And, potato or rice. And then you have some frozen vegetables.
Frozen veggies, yeah.
We
grew up in the same neighborhood, right? Wherever, yeah.
I don't care for too many canned things at all, but I have frozen vegetables. I buy the ones I like, but when you have fresh ones,
Well, and I've got to say, we are pretty darn lucky living here in California. Yeah.
When the pandemic first started and all the shelves are wiped out, all the pasta and the pinto beans and everything's gone, which I already had a lot of that in my house, no problem for me. And there's an older lady, and she and I were the only people shopping in the produce section. And we had a really good laugh.
Yeah.
I said, look at all the food, that's for us. I said, we can just get all of it. And she started laughing. She goes, yeah, I'm going to take me some more on that.
Yeah.
So and I was surprised that people want, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Hey, come over here. There's tomatoes and the avocados and the radishes and all the apples and everything. Last year I made a really nice apple pie, and I kind of made it. I bought a little pie crust and I cooked it, and it probably had a little oil in it, a
Mm-hmm.
little. And but I put all the apples in. I made sure I used uh, sugar, nothing that was fructose based, but real cane sugar. I put a lot of seasonings in it. Put my lemon in, and it came out nice. That was my treat.
Yeah.
And there was very little oil in the crust, but I'm not much of a crust person, so I enjoyed the apples a lot, and my husband ate kind of more of the
The
rest of
crust,
it.
yeah.
But I still went ahead and made myself a real nice apple pie.
Yeah, see, that's why I think and you still, maintain your weight. And so I think that's really, because it's a pattern of eating, right? You want to, as we so often get so tied up in every little bit that we're eating at every meal, when you look at a
Yeah.
pattern of eating, of going, okay, for most of the week, I made really good choices that were health promoting and, all of that. And yeah, I had a few treats, but the problem is we have a lot of treats,
Yeah.
okay? And we eat too much of that every single day. Okay, so one of the things you talked about that I want to show a slide on is this. So we talked about oils, okay? And what I want to have the audience know is on this slide you will see. So with a plant-based lifestyle, we are choosing foods like beans and peas and whole grains like brown rice, quinoa, fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds, right? And we're replacing those foods that are, animal based, like meat, dairy, and eggs, all right? So when Teresa mentioned she was avoiding the oils, that's twofold. She was mentioning, avoiding those for her diabetes because it promotes insulin resistance, which we talked about last week. And she was also, in so doing, also automatically cutting her calorie content, all right? So if you look at this slide, when you're eating a plant-based diet, you're choosing foods that are nutrient dense, how she mentioned the nutrients, right? That fuel your body really well. And, but they're not calorie dense, meaning they're naturally lower in calories. So, and the other things is they're super high in fiber, super great for making you feel full and stabilizing blood sugars as well. And, they're high in water, okay, because that's where they get their density. And so if you realize that a gram of fat is 9 calories per gram versus, a carbohydrate calorie or a protein calorie, those are 4 calories per gram. So if you're fat intake, and fat has, and I'm talking about the saturated fats found in meat, dairy, and eggs have 0 fiber in them. So if you look at the stomach, this stomach diagram here, that's your stomach, okay? And it shows you 500 calories. 500 calories of oil, 500 calories of cheese, 500 calories of meat. Then the next stomach is 500 calories of potatoes and beans and rice. And then you get into the leafy greens, fruits and vegetables, okay? So 500 calories of leafy greens, you want to really stay at that end where you have the beans and the rice and the fruits and vegetables. Those fill you up. So you get full before you ever really exceed your calories, right? And that's how you're able to lose weight like you did. Like you said, 1 pound a week almost, right?
Oh, probably even a little more than that.
Yeah.
Probably. It varied. It went up and down.
Yeah.
But I was surprised. The losing the weight was the benefit of stabilizing my blood sugar.
Yeah.
That was just the bonus on top of going from 347 down in 9 days, which I wouldn't have believed anybody if they told me that. Oh, that's just ridiculous. But on the morning of the 9th day, I was 129 BGL.
Yeah. And remember, we talked about that. Our focus is health. Okay, your blood sugars, health. The same thing if you're watching your heart, doing your cholesterol or whatever you want, heart health. That should be your focus. The weight loss is a bonus, okay? And so you're able to maintain your blood sugars and your weight by this lifestyle.
And I
Yeah.
felt the relief that I felt of having that blood sugar come back to normal so quickly. Just it gave me a psychological benefit that I've saved my health.
Yeah.
I'm not going to end up in the hospital. I'm not going to be this sick old woman going into my golden years, which wouldn't be very golden, you know. So
Right.
I feel like I really stepped back from that edge.
Yeah.
And if I go off it a little bit, the blood sugars go right back up. So that tells you I'm so sensitive to it.
Yeah.
And the oil and the fat really
Yeah.
makes a difference.
Yeah, and so this is so with that said, I want to show you the next slide of what you can do. I want to give you some tips that'll help you maintain or help you lose weight if that's your goal. All right. If you're carrying a little extra fluff in the middle, you can try these tips and maybe they'll help you. Okay. So we want you to replace that saturated fat. Okay, the meat, the dairy, the eggs. Does it mean you have to do it 100%? No. But if you serve a plate of food and you can eat less meat and eat more vegetables, more fruit, right? It's a ratio thing, all right? How is your meat cooked? You know, how are those vegetables cooked? Can you reduce the fat content on that? People take a perfectly good vegetable and they saute it in olive oil or butter, and they've just now added a whole bunch of calories to it, right?
And then real cheese sauce
and then
over it.
cheese sauce. And you're like, okay, where's the vegetable in there? So just play with that. Doesn't mean you can't have any. Maybe use less of the cheese sauce if you really like that on your broccoli. The other thing you can do is avoid those added oils. You know, anytime you open a package of something, it's not only high in fat, it's usually probably pretty high on sodium, all right? So really kind of shy away from some of those processed foods and read your labels, okay? Read your labels. That's the first thing I do with clients is I teach them how to read labels, okay? And what to look for, because that tells you what you're actually consuming, all right? The other thing is, like I said, avoid processed foods, all right? I mean, you know, some of them taste good. Doesn't mean you can never have them, but really take stock on how often you're eating those. And then don't drink your calories, right? How many of us do that? Yeah, I mean, it's like everybody loves having a smoothie or a fancy drink from the Green Lady store. I mean, whatever it is. And just those calories add up, but yet we never mentally think of them. And that doesn't fill you up. There's zero fiber in there, all right? So you drink all those calories and then you're still hungry. It tastes good, but you're still hungry because you haven't filled that stomach up. And then the last thing is, and Teresa attested this, you need to eat more, not less, when you're choosing a plant-based diet, okay? And so just know that. And so that's the beauty of it. That's why you don't feel deprived.
I felt my energy level really come up once I started eating more food.
Yeah.
And I still do a lot of physical work. I still am employed. I do a lot of physical work. And being able, it just changed everything for me.
Yeah,
you know,
and gave you the oomph you need.
And
so,
you know, having, you know, and I had a reserve, and if I would get hungry fast, I'd get myself out of some potatoes or whatever and enjoy that. You know.
Well, and that's I think really the key too, as we wrap this up, is that I think you have to realize that you are so trained to eat at certain times, and when you start eating this way, you have to really dial in and pay attention to, am I hungry? You know, and what's going on. You start feeling the actual hunger, and then you need to feed your body. It might be 2 hours later, right? And you need to feed your body.
It was a sensation I wasn't used to.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I'm just starving. And I would go home and I'd just get food out of the refrigerator and I'd load up the plate.
Yeah.
And I'd sit down and really, really enjoy eating my meal. And I hadn't probably been hungry in 20 years. Not when you're eating cookies and candy and stuff.
Yeah.
It was really terrific to be able to eat.
Speaking of cookies, we are actually going to show you a recipe on how to make some cookies, okay? And why I love this recipe is because it actually shows you some swaps, okay, that you can actually make. So does that sound good?
Sounds
Teresa's
wonderful.
going to help me in the kitchen. So, so what we're going to do now is we're going to join me in the kitchen. Are you ready, Teresa?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go do this. Perfect. Great. How was that?
It was good.
are in our kitchen. Thanks for joining us back here. And so we are making vegan chocolate peanut butter cookies, okay? And what I love about these is it's not a ton of ingredients. And also, you know, I hear so often from people that they crave chocolate, right? I mean, that's a craving. We had this conversation earlier.
I was thinking on it today.
Yeah, and so the thing is, doesn't mean you can never have it, all right? But let's figure out a way to have it and, you know, kind of nutrient it up. And so this recipe, which you can find in the Dropbox that ACC so kindly puts together for you, you'll find that it has oatmeal, okay, has some oats, so you've got your fiber there, right? We're going to use some bananas. So bananas are often used as in place of oil or egg, or so if you don't like banana, you may not like this. You do taste it a little bit, but they also are kind of thicken it up a little bit, okay? And then we're going to use some vanilla because that's often used. We have a little bit of salt. We're using cocoa right here for the chocolate, okay? And we're going to use some applesauce. Okay, let me see if I can get applesauce. And I have chosen to use some monk fruit sweetener. Okay, the recipe actually calls for brown sugar. You can use coconut palm sugar. I don't use that very often, but I had some. I thought I would show it to you. And so, you know, the recipe calls for a certain amount of sweetener. If it's something like if you want more sweet, you can add more, okay? So what's the first thing we do, Teresa? We preheat the oven, all right?
2 whole bananas.
Okay, so we're gonna take our bananas, and now you wanna take them when they're super ripe because they're sweeter, right? And so I've got a story for you about that. I was gonna make this recipe, and I had been saving 2 bananas, letting them get ripe, and I got home to make my sample, and they were gone. And I'm like, oh no. And my husband had taken them for lunch. So we're going to throw those in there. Okay, we'll do 2 of those. So I had to run out really quickly and get some. And these are actually pretty ripe. They could be riper if you want them sweeter, okay? So we're going to do that. And then I take my masher, and we're going to mash. Okay. Do you use a potato masher? I use that masher for everything. I mash up my tofu with the masher. Yeah. Okay, mash them up pretty good. We'll kind of clean this off. And what's the next thing we're going to put in? The applesauce. So we can start measuring out the applesauce.
And how much do we do?
I think it's a quarter.
1/4 cup.
Yeah,
That's about a
1/4
4th cup right there.
Yeah, so we can use that. Okay. So like I said, the banana is often, I use it in pancakes because it adds some great flavor. Okay, you want to dump that in, Therese?
Yeah, I'm going to measure it.
Okay,
like
yeah, it's a little over, huh? Yeah. So usually these little things have about a 1/2 cup in them, okay? So we're using half of that. I'm going to dump that in. And then our next thing is
2 cups old-fashioned
oats. I think I'm going to go ahead and dump those in. This goes together really quick. Oh, sorry. Thanks. Okay. Getting used to our technology here. Okay, put that in. I'm going to stir it up. Okay. I'll stir, Teresa, if you want to find what's next.
Okay, we're going to put in our 1/4 cup peanut butter.
Okay, so here's the thing. Go ahead and measure that out. You can just kind of pour it in. So you can also use what they call PB2, okay? This is a peanut butter that it sits on your shelf and it's dry, okay? And I'll show you what it looks like a little bit. And you can rehydrate it to make it be like peanut butter. Can you see that a little bit? So it's just a powder. It's just literally a powder. And so you can add water to it and turn it back into peanut butter, right? Or you can, I use it sometimes just for that peanut butter flavor and other recipes. So if you don't want to use peanut butter or you don't have it, you can do this. This is actually lowers the fat content in the recipe, okay? We're using the natural peanut butter. So here's the thing with peanut butter. like Skippy or
Jif.
Jif, yeah, is that the one?
That has shortening.
They add in hydrogenated oils to keep it all together. So it looks worse on the shelf when you have the, and I think I've told you guys this before, when you buy the Adams, you have some oil on top, but it's actually, you stir that in, it's all natural peanuts. So I sometimes dump some of that off. So just know that, you know, while it looks worse, it's actually better for you. And so read your labels and look and see, is all of it have is roasted peanuts? Then we're good to go. If it says it has hydrogenated oil, then you want to avoid it, okay?
So now we're doing the...
So we're going to stir that in. And then we have
do our,
the monk fruit.
For our sugar.
Okay, so we have the sugar in here, the monk fruit. Okay, and we need probably the cocoa. So if you want it sweeter, you can, but you think about it, you have the applesauce and you have the banana, so it's naturally sweet. You have all this fiber from the oats, right? So in a cookie, you're getting, you know, a grain, you're getting a fruit, well, two, actually, the applesauce and the banana. Okay, and then we're going to dump in the cocoa powder to give you that, take care of your chocolate fix. You know, and cocoa actually has a lot of great properties in it. I mean, I know a lot of people are talking about how it helps your memory. Now, I'm not sure that's actually true, but I've heard that. And I think, so we're going to mix that all up.
Okay.
A little bit of vanilla, yeah.
1 teaspoon vanilla.
1 teaspoon vanilla, perfect.
And then a little touch of salt.
A little touch of salt, which, you know, you could probably leave out. We'll go ahead and put a little in. I think it's an 1/8 teaspoon or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, this is looking to me like it might need a little more cocoa to it if you like that cocoa.
Okay.
Actually, no, I think it's fine, Teresa. I just need to be a better mixer, I think. So if you can see that, you can see that it's basically all mixed in. Okay, the best thing about this particular cookie dough is you can actually taste it out of the bowl, okay? I mean, there's nothing raw in it necessarily. There's nothing like eggs or anything like that's gonna hurt you. I mean, you could actually sample it. If you chose to. Okay, so then we're going to take and we're going to put it on our cookie sheet. I have you can use parchment paper. I have a Silipat that I'm going to put on. Okay, and we're going to I guess maybe take this little one and I'll try to scoop it out. I didn't actually bring a full-on spoon. So you kind of scoop them out like this, okay? And then we're going to take the fork and you're going to smash them down. Can you see overhead? Mash them down a little bit. So you just flatten them out a little, okay? And then you if you like them to look more round, you can kind of tuck in the sides a little bit. Okay, and then you're going to, you do your whole tray of that. I'm going to just do the 3, okay, for the demo. You do your whole tray, you put them in the oven, and you bake them. And then you have the cookies. Now, these probably would have looked better had they not sit in my car before I came, all right? But would you like to taste one?
Yes.
Would you like a cookie, ma'am?
Thank you.
Yeah. So, they bake for 15 minutes. So how do they taste?
Delicious.
Yeah?
Nice flavor.
Okay, so they taste chocolatey?
Very chocolatey.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were almost a little too chocolatey when I tasted them.
Probably a little less on the chocolate, which is funny coming from me.
Yeah, and I would say, I think what would be really good in these, Teresa, would you think like dried cherries or maybe craisins? Or...
Oh, yeah, or even some like golden raisins.
Oh, golden raisins
would be really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're a little like a chocolate oatmeal cookie a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's the peanut butter chocolate cookie recipe, and that ends it for us. Are there any questions from any of you? I know sometimes you guys have questions about the products that I'm using. So these are pretty simple. Nothing? We're good? Okay.
Are all the ingredients available at Rayleigh's, Bel Air, or do you have to purchase at Whole Foods?
Oh, no. Rayleigh's and Bel Air, that's where, I mean, yes, they have them. This is a relatively new product, I think. You might have to ask about it. I actually ordered this initially, I think, through Amazon. But I think I've seen it in the stores now. Okay.
I found some at Walmart.
Oh, did you?
And it was a big jar.
Oh, was
like
it?
that.
Okay.
I prefer the little jar.
Yeah, yeah. And they actually have one, a peanut butter that has the chocolate mixed in with it as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you know.
pretty good.
Yeah, so there's that. Anything else?
What were the 2 cookbooks recommended for Teresa when she began her plant-based eating?
What were the 2 cookbooks that I recommended for you?
It was Dr. John McDougall, and it was the healthiest diet on the planet, and she told me to start with that one. And then I went to Engine 2.
Engine 2, Rip
Esselstyn.
Yeah. There's actually another really great one that I use a lot with my clients, and it's Forks Over Knives recipe book.
And Forks Over Knives.
Yeah.
Plus, they have a magazine in the store every 3 months.
Oh, really?
And it's about $12 for
Okay.
the magazine,
Yeah.
and I've bought every one of them.
Yeah,
I have a library of all the magazines.
Okay. Yeah, and actually, Forks Over Knives has a lot of free recipes online. So if you are, inclined to do internet searches, you can search for that. But they have a really great recipe book. They have really good visuals and all that.
A lot of pictures.
A lot of pictures, yeah. So, any other questions? I think that's it.
That's it.
All right. As always, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Teresa, for being my guest. And I want to thank ACC for having us. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.